It's no secret that Weird Boys are an essential part of any orc army. The jump alone makes them more than worth their points. But are they worth the dollars? $23 for a model that is basically a knob in a bathrobe with a pool skimmer seems a little high. And what if I want to run multiples? That cost is going to add up quickly. Looking at the official artwork, the bathrobe appears to be optional. Seems like making your own Weird Boy is a very common thing to do, so today on Miniature Mashup, we're converting an orc knob to a Weird Boy.
This way, let's get fabulous!
So we're going to start with this orc knob. Now I know I'm not going to use a slata base form. I'm going to put him on a 40mm base with no slata, so we're going to just take that tab right off his feet. The next thing we're going to do is modify his axe. It's going to become, this chop is going to become a Weird Boy staff. And so I'm just going to take the same wire cutters I used to take that tab off his feet to remove the blade of this chopper. And we're going to trim it up nice and neat. And then we're also going to trim down the very top of it because we're going to put a skull up there. And for that, I'm just going to use a little safety knife on my unprotected table, this table. And I can read the comments in the description below already. The table's already kind of gone the way of a craft table. So yeah, I'm using a naked blade on it. It'll be okay. Now I'm taking one of my skeletons, which came from the party store. And I did a review of these guys. They're probably the best dirt cheap skeletons out there on the market. And I'm just chopping off the head and I'm chopping off the hand. This is the one model that comes with 2 skulls, so I only got to sacrifice one of my dirt cheap models here to make my Weird Boy staff. I'm going to glue one of these on the top and one on the bottom. And they're pretty big, so they're, you know, they're ogre skulls or something. Okay, yeah, they look like human skulls. They're giant human skulls. Maybe that's not a thing in 40k. Maybe they're Primaris skulls. There you go. Staying current with the fluff. We're gonna take this gun off of here because Weird Boys don't use guns. Working that with the safety knife and with the wire cutters. I also just don't want him to look like a knob anymore. Now the replacement hand is coming off a hero click. This is Gorilla Grodd. He's a real early hero click, and the hand just slides off. But it's a perfect match. I mean, style-wise, size-wise, the sculpt isn't the best on the hand, but it's got a pretty neat little skull in it. But the bracelet that it's wearing, the sort of bracer, matches up perfectly with the orc bracer. The hand itself is very orky, so it's a nice match. We're also going to glue one of these classic old fantasy Warhammer skeletons to his back. We're going to put him on his base, and we're going to flock that base.
Flock the base, don't flock the base, darling. Flock the base, don't flock the base. N-word, flock the base, don't flock the base, baby. Flock the base.
Yep, and before we flock the base, of course, we're going to spread a little white PVA glue along the base's top. And then we're going to dip it right into some craft sand that we've got from the dollar store. I'm going to let that sit for at least 4 hours, probably overnight, and come back to it. Now, we're ready to combine the modified choppa that is now a Weird Boy staff with the body, which we have also modified heavily. Before we put that arm on, we're going to trim the shoulder off because I want to modify the angle. I'm not going to have him holding it in front of him, but like the pose that they give you, which isn't terribly exciting. I'm going to have him holding it up above his head. And so for that, we've got to just hack away a little bit with our safety knife at the shoulder joint on the arm. Glue that on with some super glue gel. And of course, before we can put that on, we're going to snip the little nubbins coming out there, the little connecting tab that comes out of the shoulder of the body. I'm going to trim that away with a wire cutter before we put that on. Just a little snippety-doo. That's ready to go on with a little super glue gel. A couple other modifications I make. I'm going to take the spike off the top of the helmet that's coming out of the skull. The skull is the point. I don't need to have a point coming out of it. And I'm also going to get rid of that stick bomb. I think it's really distracting. It doesn't really suit the Weird Boy character very well. I don't think they come with stick bombs, and so I don't want them to have it. And we're just going to put that very last skull on the top, and we're going to add an old school night shield to sort of cover up the weird joint we've created with that modified arm. Hey, let's take a look at it through some of the painting stats. I think it turned out pretty good. I added some scenic plants to the base, and I also used a little bit of typhus corrosion to simulate rust coming out of the skull and on the boots and whatnot, and on some of the armor. What do you think, guys? Was this a successful Weird Boy conversion, or is this just a knob with a skull staff? And here's my Weird Boy with some of my previous Ork HQ. For you, faithful viewer, if you've liked this cartoon, please like and subscribe to the channel. Consider visiting us on Facebook or making a donation to my GoFundMe campaign. The links for both of those are in the description below. As always, thanks for watching.